Welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Leslie Weidenbender. I'm here with Senator Greg Taylor. He's a Democrat from Indianapolis. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you.
So I know you've been working very hard on legislation that tries to put some new regulations in some child care situations. Can you tell us what's the need for that bill?
One of the things that a lot of people may not know in the state of Indiana is we have a difference in the child care centers. And what that is the statutes differentiate between licensed daycare facilities and child care ministries. Child care ministries are child care facilities that are related to or affiliated with ministries in the state of Indiana. Those ministries don't have to follow the same guidelines as licensed daycares in Indiana, and I just want to bring those regulations and rules into more congruency with the licensed daycare centers.
Now, the Senate passed some legislation in this regard. Are you pleased with where it ended up?
Well, we did get something out of the Senate. It's far less than what I had hoped that the Senate would pass, but we still have time left in the legislative session to make changes and hopefully bring some congruency to the bills. There are several things in that bill that I think are only common sense that didn't make it into the final bill that was passed out of the Senate. So I hope to get some assistance in the House of Representatives and hopefully during conference committee to get some changes.
Senator, I recently heard you speak against a bill that eventually died that would have required police to take DNA from people when they were arrested. I wanted to hear about why you thought that was a bad idea.
Well, you know, when you think about it, when you hear that word arrest, some people have different connotations, but what that really means is once a person is taken into custody, regardless if that person has been found guilty of a crime, they have to give DNA. And to me, that is really intrusive. And what we're talking about is people who, get charged with a crime, never found guilty, their DNA is in a file. And we all know that DNA is a live and living organism, and we've seen DNA exonerate people. We've also seen DNA used in ways to make it look like a person could have committed a crime when they really didn't. So we have to be very careful when we talk about taking DNA from people just because they were arrested.
Now, Democrats this session have been calling for an expansion of Medicaid. Where do you come down on that?
Well, to me, it's only common sense. The federal government has agreed to pay for the expansion of Medicaid. Now, we don't know as a legislature when the federal government's going to stop or when they're going to say, okay, we've given you enough time, now we're going to take the money away. Right now, what we know is as the bill is written, the Affordable Care Act, any expansion of Medicaid up to 138% of poverty will be covered by the federal government. One of the things that never ceases to amaze me is the intricate parts of that. What we're seeing in the state of Indiana is we don't want the federal government to pick up the tab for insuring all Hoosiers. Doesn't make sense to me.
Do you think ultimately the legislature will act to expand Medicaid?
We're going to have to expand Medicaid in order to enforce the ACA. The Affordable Care Act has been found constitutional. People challenged it, it's the law. Instead of coming up with ways to get around it, we need to find out and figure out a way to implement it, which I believe is in full expansion of Medicaid.
Well, Senator, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. I'm Leslie Weidenbender with thestatehousefile.com and Comcast Newsmakers. Thanks for joining us. Come back and see us.